Happy Saturday, or whatever day I upload this on. It's your friend Bad Hair Mike from Foul News, and today I've got a big problem. As you can see, it's going to be another BMW video, because this time, instead of doing an upgrade or doing a DIY, we're going to be looking at some trouble. If you're ever familiar with the N54 and the infamous belt shredding problem, due to an oil leak in this case, there's going to be some work to do. So depending on how much damage, I guess, is being done by the belt, that's yet to be determined through some diagnosis, it's either going to cost just a bit of brake clean and the replacement parts. Like, I already have a new pulley kit and belt that I got from FCP. I think this one lasted me 6,000 miles, but that's not to the fault of the belt. That's just because of the oil leak that happened on it. So basically, it's either going to cost just that bit, or it's going to cost a lot of money, depending on how bad everything is. If it got sucked into the crank seal, then I'm pretty much screwed. So let's just dig right into it. We're at Stove's place, keeping warm with the fire, because it's a nice 20 degrees out, and we're just gonna see how bad everything is under here. Now that all the top end stuff's out of the way, I've got to remove either this bit here or this here or that there for the oil cooler, because on these N54s, for these E60s, they've integrated this massive oil cooler with the fan and the fan shroud. So in order to remove the fan and the fan shroud, this all has to come out. That's also what's left of the belt. I'm sure there's some more in there, but we're gonna find out once I get all this stuff out. So I gotta go home because there's no oil pan here, or oil collector, whatever you want to call it. And since we're pulling off the oil lines, might as well drain the oil. Needs an oil change anyhow. Then we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get the rest of the stuff done that we need to, just so we could pull off the crank pulley tonight and make sure that either the crank seal is gonna be intact or it's not gonna be intact. If it's intact, hell of a lot easier. If it's not intact, boy, do we have a much bigger project and a much more expensive project on our hands. Good thing is the fire's still going nice and strong. All that's burning right now is some nice oak. So now I'm back at home. Time to go grab that oil drip pan. I had to do a tool run, went to Home Depot and AutoZone, because there's this one little bolt that's holding on this oil line behind the fan. It's really kicking my butt. I don't have anything, you know, small enough to get in there, so it's cold. Temperature's dropping like a rock. Pretty much my only source of heat is going out, so I better put some logs on there real quick. Try to build that fire back up so I can have some warmth, because really the end goal of today is to get that radiator out, or not really the radiator, the oil cooler and the fan shrouds, because on the E60 with the N54 it's like all one piece. You'll see when it comes out, and once that's out, then I'll have access to the crank pulley. I'll probably just end up pulling that tomorrow, because like I said, it's getting really cold out and I'm tired. It's late. No, there's no way you're gonna be able to see what's going on in there. Nope, way too dark. So I'll just have to pick up filming tomorrow, unless I get this whole fan shroud out tonight. At least with some of the brake clean I picked up, I can do this. Today's now tomorrow, and I still need a haircut. Just last night after getting the tool run, it was way too cold in the garage, so I've got to chop some wood. It's about 40 degrees warmer than, sorry, it's 40 degrees now. It's about 20 degrees warmer than yesterday, so I should be able to get a lot more work done today. Oil coolers are finally out. There's two of them, one there, one there. It all comes out with this whole fan thing. Stupid design, I have to admit. There was a bolt that held on the hard line here. That's what I had to get to. Ultimately, what I ended up doing was getting a flat ratchet, like one of these flat quarter drive ratchets with a T25. Got it most of the way loose, but ultimately I needed one of these guys, just a Torx, Allen key, whatever you want to call this, another T25, to get it the rest of the way out. In doing so, I also snapped the cooling line, which I was being very careful to avoid snapping, and unfortunately, doing this by myself, it was kind of an issue I couldn't really prevent. So now we have access to the crank pulley. So from here I'm going to pull that crank pulley out and see if the crank seal's still intact, or if I've got a much bigger problem on my hands. After pulling off the crank pulley / harmonic balancer, whatever, did find it is worst case scenario. The belt got sucked into the motor, the crank seal's destroyed, and the problem being that this is an E60 and it's an X drive, the subframe kind of has to come out for you to do the oil pan, and I don't feel comfortable just replacing the belt and trying to go. There's definitely bits of belt in the motor, so we're gonna have to go ahead and figure out the next couple of steps here. By the way, that pulley is pretty easy to get off. 6 E10 Torx, or E-Torx or whatever, bolts, and then it kind of just loosely pries off quite easily. Well, it's not quite easy for me to capture it with this camera, so I'll switch to my phone. But you can see bits of the belt here. That's all stuck in the crank pulley back there, or in the crank seal rather. Okay, so there's the crank seal, and there's the belt, kind of stuck there. So this crank seal's screwed. That has to be replaced. And like I said, the oil pan's got to be dropped, which isn't easy on these cars. We'll have to take the valve cover off too, make sure all the pieces are out of the timing components and everything, and then make sure there's no weird noises, because if the belt got in there in the oil pan, it could have gotten stuck in bits of the oil pickup, so the motor could have been starved of oil for quite some time. My friend was driving it. He drove about 20 miles or so after the belt had snapped, and he said it finally died somewhere around my town, so definitely possible that there could have been some oil starvation. That's probably going to do it for this part until I figure out what I'm going to do next, if I got to bring this to a shop, or if I can drop the subframe here somehow. Maybe I'll just get this up on some really high jack stands, but then we got to watch out for the hood spacing and everything. I don't know, I got to sit down and think about it for a little while. But thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, hit the like button. See what tools I used in this video in the links below. If you buy it off my Amazon link, it really helps me out, especially in projects like this. So as always, remember to keep it foul.